Okay, so I was originally gonna watch Hocus Pocus 2 and give my thoughts on that, but then it occurred to me that while I have seen the original, who hasn't? Uh, I haven't seen it in a while, so I decided to rewatch the original, as a refresher to get ready for the second one. Uh, so yeah, we'll talk about the original, where I remember, where I didn't remember, and why I still love this movie like so many others. Like yeah, man, like from when I first saw this movie, from when I was a kid, like I loved it. I even saw the special from what last year, year before. The special that was one night only, and uh, yeah, it wasn't going to be anywhere else. Not even on YouTube, but it was on YouTube the very next night, and I was happy to pay for it. But when I saw it on YouTube for free the next night, I'm like, I should have known. And now it's on Disney Plus as well. So yeah, I love Hocus Pocus, the Sanderson sisters, all of it. And as a kid, I remember just loving how much fun they were having. You know, and I recognize that as an adult. Uh, I obviously remembered I Put a Spell on You. Love that scene. Love that song. That version, the Screaming Jay original. I love that song. What I didn't remember was Sarah Jessica Parker's song. I see song to Gather the Children. Wow, that's also a great song. Like wow. And I was gonna make a Pied Piper joke, but I was like, that's a line. I can't do that. No Pied Piper jokes. But I was this close to making one. But like, no, that's a line. Especially with what's no, no. But yeah. So what I didn't remember was Bette Midler. I believe she's Winnie. What I didn't remember was her getting her Emperor Palpatine on with those lightning fingers, like just zapping people, mainly teenagers. Like I didn't remember that at all. It's how it opens, it's how it ends, and I loved it. You know, like if the Emperor hadn't lit up, he could have been winning here, just zapping people. You know. So I remember that they needed children for the life force. What I didn't remember was they have no problem totally murdering a child or eating a child. Obviously, they did Disney, so they didn't, but they talked about it a lot. And again, it's a Disney movie. There's a good deal of cussing, which I did remember. Uh, it's mostly from Doug Jones as the zombie, and I used to love that scene as a kid. I did. As an adult, I don't know if it's because I've seen it before, but that scene doesn't hit the same. Um, because he's got the main dude, up against the gate, and Winnie and his sister are like, all right, kill him, and dude pulls out a knife. Doug Jones, he takes it, like, put dude in a chokehold with the knife through his neck. And they're like, yeah, yeah. And then, seeing it as a kid, I'm like, oh shit, another zombie's got a knife, you know. And I'm not usually a fan of zombies with weapons, like, at all. Like, when I played Resident Evil, I want them to come at me. Ooh, I like the classic zombie. Not when they're shooting at me. I don't like that. But Doug Jones got that knife when I was a kid. Man, as an adult, I don't know if it's because I know where it's going, but it didn't hit the same. I'm like, okay, now here's where he, because as a kid, when he takes the knife and he puts it, I'm like, whoa, but then he cuts his own, because his mouth is sewn shut. As punishment for, sleeping with one sister and then the other, they sewed his mouth shut. I'm sure there's an innuendo in there somewhere. but, but yeah, but he cuts it open, and I do remember the stuff coming out of his mouth, and he's just insulting them and cussing them out, and I loved that as a kid. As an adult, I chuckled. That's one of my favorite scenes, and I'm like, I don't know. It's different. I don't know why. But holy crap, this movie's fun. So much fun. Obviously, Bette Midler is so much fun, but all three sisters are so much fun. Sarah Jessica Parker as Sarah, which is easy for me to remember, and Catherine and Jimmy, whose name I've forgotten. Uh, like they're all fun and funny, you know. And Sarah Jessica Parker, I will admit, when I was younger, I would get distracted by it, right? Well, they're all very beautiful. I would get distracted by Sarah Jessica Parker. And this time around, I wasn't, so I really got to, like, I was really paying attention. And she's actually funny as hell. She is. Like, my goodness. Also kind of creepy, like, yeah. I'll be thy friend, like, you know. But yeah, I did remember the cat, the talking cat, but and how that worked. But what I was surprised by was how good the effect is. Like, wow. And although I'll say this, in the cat scenes, especially when he's talking in a close up, those scenes are a bit more grainy, more dirty. There's a lot more noise. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the height of the effect. Maybe they kept it that way, so they didn't, Buffy the Vampire Slayer remastered this whole thing and messed it all the way up. Like, somebody knew what they were doing. They kept it that way. It's fine. You notice it, but the effect still looks good because they didn't mess with that. So good. But yeah. So basically, we know the plot by now. Can't do it lit by a virgin. The witches are back. They need more children to stay young, and so they're chasing these kids throughout the city to try to get help. They run into a fake cop, which once again got me because I'm like, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, is he a fake cop? Because I remember this scene, and there's a fake cop in it, but it got me though because I thought it was a real cop, but he wasn't. They ran into their parents who believe but don't believe them. And the witches, I remember this, they ran into a dude dressed as the devil. And I always thought those scenes were interesting. I mean, these three grown women show up at your house calling you master all over you. And he just lets them in. I understand. But at the same time, I don't think that's how that would work. You know? I did remember his wife throwing him out. Man. I had a note about the wife. But yeah, I remember that. And yeah, they had her face hidden. Like, it could be somebody we know. I didn't recognize her. But yeah, they were build her. But yeah, no. And so, yeah, hijinks ensue. And what I didn't notice as a kid, which is weird, because I watched The Wizard of Oz a lot as a kid. Black and white, color. I didn't care. The crappy color version from TBS, I didn't care. They have a better one now, much better one that they show sometimes. But I didn't recognize the references because when you put water on them, they're like, we're melted. Like, they addressed how ridiculous that is. But because they're having fun, you don't care. In The Wizard of Oz or Hocus Pocus, I didn't get the Hansel and Gretel reference when they tried to burn the witches alive in the oven. Like, all that was missing was a Sabrina reference, And yes, this predates the sitcom from the 90s. But it does not predate the character herself. In fact, she had 2 TV shows throughout the 60s and 70s, right? It was Sabrina. But yeah, my goodness. I don't know what else more I can say about this awesome. Oh, yeah, I do. Thora Birch, okay. We know that all 3 sisters will be back for the sequel. And we know others will be back. We know some won't. My guess, the dude who was the cat, he won't. That was wrapped up nicely, happily. It was cute, it's adorable, touching. Why didn't do that? One of the people I wanted to come back was Thora Birch. I've been a fan of her since I was a kid, I guess, since we were kids. She's not too much older than I am. But yeah, and I saw the trailer, and she's in the trailer, and I wanted to be what she was. She was awesome in this movie, like, just holding her own. She's, 7 years old, holding her own. Just awesome. Yeah, so she's back. She'll be back in the sequel. But yeah, and one thing I did not notice as a kid that I picked up on upon rewatches as I got older, that I did notice here, the virgin shaming. Like, wow, the 90s were a whole other time. Like, wow. And I kind of remember the 2 broken skull-like bullies. I guess that was a thing back in those times, in the 80s and 90s. Bullies is in air quotes because they were so get their ass kicked that this was reality. They were not a threat at all. And it was funny when dude just left their asses there. And it was just kind of, he just left their asses there. And they're still there. And I want to know in the sequel, are they still there or will they sell their bones or something like that? I mean, they robbed them. Like, they mess with his sister. I can't be mad at him, you know? But yeah, such a fun movie. October has begun, which means more horror movies, which means more horror movie reviews. So I think that's all I have to say about Hocus Pocus. I mean, it's a classic. Watch it, especially now with the sequel out. Watch it, then watch the sequel, like I'm doing. All right. Thank you for watching.